Because I stuffed up when I was a student, I made stupid mistakes, and I wish somebody had told me some of these things when I was 19. So I'm doing what I would have liked to have heard about when I was 19. Love is probably one of the most misunderstood words in the English language. The Greeks actually have 4 words for it. 4 different types of love, and that's one of the reasons why I think English-speaking people get so confused about the issue. There they are. Agape love, I don't know if you've heard about that. Eros, we all know about Eros, Philia and Storge. Agape love is a self-sacrificial type of love. It's a giving without any want of getting anything in return. Eros, well, we all know Eros. Eros is romantic love, it's feelings, it's emotions, it's poetic. That's what we're pretty much going to talk about today. Philia is friendship love. There was a guy in the Bible called Theophilus, friend of God. And Storge is a family affection type of love. Right, okay, let's talk about Eros. Why do we love something? Let's just look about that briefly. Why do you fall in love? Why, before Christmas when you were a child, you saw something in the toy shop and you wanted it, you desired it? Is that a different type of desire or love than the love that you have for somebody of the opposite sex? I don't think so. I think we're attracted to things. Guys, especially, as I said last week, are visually stimulated. Somebody is beautiful. You're attracted to a person's personality, hopefully, as well. But let's think about the Christmas presents, for example. On Christmas Day, you're desperate, if you are Christians, wanting to open your presents, or your birthday when you get presents. You open them, and then by the afternoon, you know, they're just sitting there, ignored. And I think, aren't you concerned that that might happen when you get married? That you're desperately in love with somebody, and then that love may fade. You think, oh no, I will love them forever. But the truth is, love, the emotional attachment of love, lasts for a period, uninterrupted period of 2 years maximum. Now that's going to scare a whole lot of you. So what do you mean, after 2 years I've got married and suddenly I don't love my husband or wife anymore? Well, yes, but it becomes periodical. That's why we have marriage vows, because the love doesn't carry us through. If you think, if your pastor or your imam or whatever says to you, why do you think your marriage will last? And you say, well, we love each other. I'm sorry, that's probably not going to work, because you will at some stage fall out of love. You know the English idiom, familiarity breeds contempt. It happens with your marriage partner as well. I'd like to look at some of my story. I like to tell you stories about my own life and stories of other people's lives. There was a girl that I knew in primary school. Okay, we're talking standard 5, grade 7. She was keen on me. Yeah, why? I have no idea. Anyway, she wrote me a letter, you know, Stephanie loves Bill, does Bill love Stephanie? So I wrote back, youth is cruel. I wrote back, I like Laurelie, and I like memory, and then I like you. Now, you know, so that was nothing ever happened there. I really wasn't that keen on her. 2 years later, we were in high school. Suddenly, she and my best mate were kind of, you know, flirting and chatting. All of a sudden, I'm far more attracted to this girl. Hey, I thought we were friends. I thought we were that kind of thing. Now you're chatting to him. The secret, guys, is in this line. You want what you can't have, and you disdain what you can't escape. And this is true for every aspect of every relationship in our lives. You want what you can't have, you disdain what you can't escape. If you know that, and you can apply that, that's why the playing hard to get works. It does work. Because if you want something and the person pulls away, you desire it more. being in love and then falling out of love? Have you ever experienced that? It happens. Yeah, there we go. You're in a relationship with this person, and it's probably because that person is all over you. They keep phoning you, they keep bugging you. Yeah, I'll never forget. Okay, this was a male friend, but he went away. He was studying somewhere, and I was at home. And whenever he came back on holiday, he would phone me, and he would phone me the next day, and he would phone me the next day. On the 4th day, he didn't phone me, and I thought, geez, at least I can do something. He's been bugging me for the last 3 days. And then I get a phone call the next day. Why didn't you phone me? Are we friends? Jeez, man. You know, I wanted to get away from the guy because he was crowding my space. And love and relationships are like that. When you are married, you should give your relationship space. You come together, give yourself some space. You come together. If either party crowds out the other party, love will go out the window. Emotional desire. So just remember that in your relationships. I want to tell you the story. I don't know if any of you guys know who James Dobson is. He's a very famous American. He does the Focus on the Family talks. He talks about his relationship with his wife. When he was in 3rd year at varsity, his future wife was in 1st year. And he was a big final year, and she was a freshman. And he held on to the relationship very lightly. He got caught up, in those days it was the Vietnam War, and it was national service by ballot. And he got selected, so he had to go off to the army. So he thought he would end it. They had a date. On the way home, he said to her, look, I think I'm going away. I think we should end the relationship. She, fortunately, kept her self-respect, her line of self-respect, which I'll talk about later. And she said, oh, okay, fine. So he pulled up to the curb, and he said, can I kiss you goodnight? She said, I don't think so. She got out the car. What he didn't know was that she cried herself to sleep that night. But then, as relationships do, 2 years later, she was now in her final year. She was the homecoming queen. She had guys asking her for dates. He was an old has-been who's come out of the army now and is trying to get a date with his old flame. And she's got this date on and she's got that date on. And he thought to himself, what's gone wrong? I had her eating out of the palm of my hand 2 years ago, and now I can't get the time of day out of her. So he managed to get her on a date. I don't know if it's Valentine's or some date coming up. And he made this plan. So that evening, he wasn't all over her. He wasn't questioning about who she was with and what she was doing. He was a little bit reserved. I mean, he was not unpolite, but a little bit reserved. Talked about his future and what he wanted to do and where he was going. He said it worked like a charm. On his way home, his friend, female girlfriend, she cuddled up next to him in the car and said, I feel like I'm losing you, and I don't know why. He said, from then he had it. He gave that speech that he prepared about how he's got a future and he would like her to come, but if she doesn't want to come, that's fine. He said they were engaged a few months later. You see, love has got to be free. If I asked you what the greatest gift God has given man, have you guys seen the movie Spud? What does the English teacher say the greatest gift is? What if I was to tell you that God's greatest gift to man is hell? Hell is one place where God isn't. By creating hell, God gave man choice. And God's greatest gift to us is choice. Why would God risk so much to give us choice? Because the free will love that we have for Him is worth that much. The wonderful thing about having a girlfriend or a boyfriend is that they have chosen you freely out of every other person. I mean, just say we invented androids, and we're getting there. The Japanese are pretty close now. That are people. You could program this android to be your girlfriend. Would it be the same as having another girlfriend? No, because that thing's programmed to like you. doesn't have a choice, whereas your girlfriend or your boyfriend has choice. Do you see the importance of choice and the importance of freedom? The moment you start clinging to somebody, the moment you put a cage around somebody, the freedom goes and the love goes. You understand? Right. I want to look at this terrible thing called a soulmate. Why is it such a terrible thing? Well, the problem is Hollywood and even Disney gives us this idea that we've got this perfect person out there that once we find them, all our problems are gone. We believe that we have a soulmate. Now, I believed that God had one chosen person for me. And this is a complex issue because I believe God is concerned about our marriage partners and He wants to help us and find us. But there are big issues with believing that there's only one. Let me tell you about my disastrous relationships when I was at varsity. I probably went on more blind dates than anybody I know. I would go on a date with a girl. I would either decide that she wasn't my soulmate, and then I'd never contact her again, or I decided that I was. And I wrote her a letter telling her I thought we should get married. And that was the last I saw of her. So, because of that reason, I was single for a very long time. Yeah, okay, it's stupid. But can you see there's two big problems I have with the whole issue of soulmate. And the first problem with the soulmate issue is that it puts a huge amount of pressure on you. You go on a date and you think, is this the one? And you think, well, I've got to get this right, because if she's the one, I can't blow it. You know, what if I blow it and then my soulmate's lost forever? Do you see the problem? See the issue there? The other issue about the problem with the soulmate is that if you think it is your soulmate, I've had guys say to me, oh no, I love her, I think she's my soulmate. What happens is, you found your soulmate. So now you get married, and because it's your soulmate, you don't have to worry, you don't have to work, you don't have to make an effort with your marriage. It's your soulmate, so everything will be cool. That's not the case. Every relationship requires work. We're going to discuss more about marriage next week and why marriages break up and the work that we all have to put into our marriages to get them to work. So guys, please hear me. There isn't one soulmate. I believe there are several people that are preferential for you to marry, and I believe God will assist you. But don't think that you can hear God yourself when it comes to a marriage partner. There's just far too much emotion involved. Billy Graham, the famous evangelist, his wife said, I thank God that he didn't answer my prayers several times when it came to the choice of a marriage partner. God is involved in your choice of a marriage partner, and He will show you the way. He will assist you if you ask Him. But don't think that there's only one perfect person, because it will just end in disaster. We can quickly look at whether biblically anyone was ever told. Did God tell anybody to marry anybody in the Bible? Well, there was a couple. There was Joseph. But Joseph was already engaged, and he wanted to break it off, and God said, no, marry her. There was Hosea. But God told him to go marry a prostitute. Now, if you feel God telling you to go marry a prostitute, I think speak to somebody first before you wander off in that line. The other one was Isaac, but God didn't tell Isaac a specific person. He spoke, Isaac's servant asked for a sign as to who to marry, and God assisted in that way. And that's about it, guys. So God will not, unless there's a specific reason He wants you to marry a specific person, which I don't think usually happens, let's leave the issue of a soulmate. Right. So how do we go about finding a partner that's right for us? Guys, you're welcome to come in and join us. What about cross-faith marriages? Guys, I would strongly recommend you don't go down that route. I know of one couple that did, and they eventually got divorced. Find somebody in your same faith. The Bible says you should not be unequally yoked, and I believe that's the case. Find somebody, I think that's an easy one. Just don't do that. You know, but the problem, I can hear you saying, oh, but I love him, and love will conquer all, and love. Guys, love is romantic. I gave this talk to my wife, and she said, yeah, Bill, but your talk is so sterile and so intellectual. Yeah, look, I'm not denying, I'll tell you a story. I had a site where I was supervising the Drakensberg, and we used to get some pies on the way back, and there was a lady that worked there, and she was the most gorgeous thing, and we called her Neek at the Wheeze, because every time you saw her, you would go weak at the knees. Yeah, so there is such a thing as romantic attraction, and even after you are married, you will find other guys or girls attractive. But just talk to your partners about them, make a joke of the whole thing. Don't, get in a tizz about it. Alright, so, choosing a marriage partner, cross-faith, not a good idea. Cross-cultural, I would also advise against it. I married cross-cultural. Although my wife is white, she is a Russian, and she comes from a very different culture to mine. And when you get married, you've already got issues. I thought I was a perfect person until I got married. I'm one of those easygoing guys. We'll talk about temperaments now. And I get along well with most people. And then you get married to this woman, and all of a sudden she starts throwing things at you, and just crying and screaming, and it was a shock to my system. I was devastated. It's just the Latin temperament. The Russians are quite like the Italians. They're quite fiery. And I had to learn to live with that and adjust. But, if you can marry somebody that's nearby you, you've got the husband, the parents as a support to help you with babysitting. We had one set of parents to help us babysit. It's a big thing in your life. When you get babies, guys and girls, your movies, dinners, romance, just all goes out the window. The moment the kids are old enough, yeah, granny and grandpa, you look after them, and it brings, otherwise you've got to get babysitters. Okay, I'm digressing now. Alright, so, cross-faith, no. Cross-cultural, not a good idea. If you want to persist with it and go for it, yeah, by all means, but I would recommend against it. Similar family backgrounds. It is the case that both families come together. When you have Christmas, where do you celebrate it? Their family, your family. Families come together in a marriage. Think about that. I was very fortunate. I tell everybody that my mother-in-law is 15,000 miles away, so I have no problem. And similar interests. Guys, you are going to be married to that person every day for the next 50 or 60 years. You've got to like stuff together. Somebody, I was sharing this with my home group, and they said, do you want to spend Saturday morning with them? Yeah, you want to spend Friday night with them? The guys would say, yeah. But what about Saturday morning? Do you want to spend Saturday morning with them and do stuff together? Your marriage partner should become your best friend. I'm going to talk briefly now about the temperaments. This is good stuff to know for life, let alone finding a marriage partner. This is very important. I've put them up here. Does anybody know them? Phlegmatics,